Good morning, and isn't it great to be back here at the Yale Club? Now, you might notice something different about the Yale Club, and it's not just the draperies or the paint job. But if you don't notice anything different, that might be the exact point, because due to the efforts of a number of people and organizations represented here in the room today, we are now holding the Bard Birthday Breakfast Benefit in a landmark building. As the Vice Chairman of the New York Preservation Archive Project, or NIPAP, as we're known to many, I'm thrilled to welcome you here today for our annual celebration of all that we do as an organization. We're committed to documenting the story of historic preservation in New York City, and 2016 has been brimming with activities and projects along those lines. We've been capturing oral histories in diverse communities across the city, and even in places like the city's legal department. We've also been providing grants to precious archives across the city, and we've been presenting at state, local, and national organizations and conferences. We've also held a series of programs that I know a number of you in the room have attended, designed to unearth the shining records of some of the unsung heroes of the city's preservation past. But amidst it all, and at this point I'd like you each to take a look at the button that's at your spot, we pause for a moment today to honor this event's namesake, Albert Bard, without whom New York City would not have its landmarks law. 2016 marks the sesquicentennial of Bard's birth. Bard, who was chiefly responsible for the Bard Act, a piece of state legislation that authorized New York City to implement its own landmarks law. A tireless champion for the cause across decades of his long life, we tip our hats to you today, Albert Bard. But of course, Bard is not the only towering figure that we recognize here today. We are excited to honor another man of many talents today as well, Mr. Robert A.M. Sir. You may know Mr. Stern as an architect, you may know him as an educator, you may know him as a friend, but we honor him specifically on this occasion for his contribution to our understanding of the preservation of the architecture of New York City, namely for his book series, A Monumental Past, New York, which documents decades of preservation history in the city. And we have the prospect, of course, today, of a chat between Mr. Stern and my friend Anne Ingen to look forward to. It's certainly a thrill. You're such a lovely audience. So let me introduce you to the one and only, our chairman, Mr. Tony Wood.
Well, welcome everybody. For the last 13 Decembers, we've come together at this holiday breakfast to celebrate a great New Yorker and a true Renaissance man, Albert Ray Bard. And I'm going to be doing more than tipping a hat this morning to him. I'm going to give you just a little insight to why some of us are so focused on him. Though this breakfast has become a wonderful preservation tradition, providing excellent opportunities to catch up with friends and a perfect excuse for eating endless amounts of bacon. And my research actually shows that Bard was a fan of bacon, bristled with honey. That's what you get reading people's intimate correspondence. But there's even a more compelling reason than bacon for gathering to honor Albert Bard. Bard was born in the Rose City, Norwich, Connecticut, on December 19, 1866, indeed making this the sesquicentennial of his birth and an irresistible opportunity to remind the faithful of Bard's preservation legacy and to convert the uninitiated into fans of the great man. Having been educated at Amherst and Harvard, Bard moved to New York City in 1892, where for the next 7 decades he would practice law and become a fixture on the New York civic scene. His prominence was such that his 90th birthday triggered a story in the New Yorker and merited an editorial in the New York Times. And his 90th and 95th birthdays both received news articles in the paper of record. This coverage was a tribute to his extraordinary civic service and to the fact he made for very good copy, always to be counted on for a colorful quote. When asked how he succeeded over the years, he answered, "Have a bad temper. Disguise it in some form of humor, but don't forget the bad temper. I have a bad temper." For decades, Bard would serve on the boards of numerous civic organizations, frequently chairing active committees and serving as an officer. Noted for his inflexible idealism, he was stubborn, and recognized for furnishing, quote, "a continuity of purpose through the decades," meaning he lived a long time. He helped found the Citizens Union in 1897 and served on its board for over 60 years. In 1901, he became a lifetime member of the Municipal Art Society. They lost money on that deal. Was elected as president in 1917 and served for decades on its board. He was an active member of the Fine Arts Federation for 46 years and intensely involved in the City Club for 55 years. He became a nationally recognized expert on aesthetic regulation, and arm in arm with the indomitable Mrs. Walter L. Elizabeth Lawton and her scenic sisters, took on the national billboard industry. Bard would also do battle with Robert Moses, besting him in the fight over the Brooklyn Battery Bridge, and along with the wonderful George McNamee, would ultimately triumph over Moses in the decade-long battle that ultimately saved Castle Clinton. So how does one condense Bard's lifetime of accomplishment into a 5-minute PowerPoint? You don't. So today you will not hear about his prominence in the national interfraternity movement, nor anything about his unconventional personal life, involving a widow, her 3 sons, spoiler alert, his interest was not in the widow, and the international spy trial involving the young man Bard considered to be his adopted son, and the man's wife, Marjorie Switz, to whom we owe the preservation of over 50 boxes of Bard's papers. Today's tribute is a mere teaser for a full program on Bard coming up later this sesquicentennial celebration. Be still your beating hearts. This morning our focus is on Bard and his role as grandfather of New York's landmarks law. That story begins in the early 1900s. New York is confronting the problem of rapidly out-of-control advertising. To deal with this issue, then Mayor William J. Maynard appoints a special commission, with Bard serving as its very active secretary. In its report of August 1913, it concludes that there is little the city can do to control advertising until it has the power to regulate on aesthetic grounds. Therefore, it recommends an amendment, credited to Bard's pen, to the New York State Constitution, which read, "The promotion of beauty shall be deemed a public purpose, and any legislative authority having power to promote the public welfare may exercise such power to promote beauty in any manner or locality or part thereof, subject to its jurisdiction. Private property exposed to public use shall be subject to such power." Well, Bard and his concept were decades ahead of established legal thinking. When this amendment was floated at the 1915 New York Constitutional Convention, it sank like a lead balloon. It would fare no better when Bard resurrected it as the patrimony of the People Amendment at the 1938 convention. The post-war period ushered in the increasing demolition of cherished New York buildings and unwanted incursions into such beloved historic neighborhoods as Greenwich Village and Brooklyn Heights. As early as 1951, the president of the Municipal Art Society called for a landmarks law, though the legal basis for such a law still proved elusive. 1954 saw the threatened demolition of Grand Central Terminal. That was too much for Bard. Having never given up on his belief that cities had the right to regulate private property on aesthetic grounds, and now well into his 80s, he tried again, drafting state authorizing legislation that would provide New York City the legal basis for a landmarks law. Though not motivating Bard, his efforts benefited from a change in conventional legal thinking that came in the form of the 1954 Supreme Court decision, Berman v. Parker, with its landmark language that read, "It is within the power of the legislature to determine that the community should be beautiful as well as healthy, spacious as well as clean, well-balanced as well as carefully controlled." In 1955, the Bard Act, as it would come to be known, passed both houses in Albany, but was vetoed by Governor Ackerman, who thought the language was too vague. Bard responded that was indeed the point. However, thanks largely to Bard's tireless advocacy efforts, it would pass in 1956, and with the approval of the same governor, became law on April 2nd, 1956, and at the age of 89, after 43 years of effort, Bard had achieved his goal. Those of you with nimble minds who have done the math may be wondering, if the Bard Act authorized New York City to have a landmarks law in 1956, why did it take until 1965 and the loss of Pennsylvania Station and other buildings for the city to actually have such a law? That's the subject of a different, much longer talk, but I can recommend a book on the subject. Bard did not stop his advocacy efforts with the passage of the Bard Act. Two really wonderful photographs that we unearthed from the New York Times archives. And one of them shows Bard in front of a whole set of file cabinets. This is Bard at the age of 95. And he was then continuing to be an advocate. But the other image shows Bard totally surrounded by 3 tables of overflowing files and papers. This could be you. If you do not take care of your prescription records, you could look like this at the age of 95. And Marjorie Switz won't be there to come down for months after he died to go through all those papers and box them up and send them to the New York Public Library. Sadly, Bard would not live to see the passage of the landmarks law. He died on March 25th, 1963, and New York City would finally get its long-desired and hard-fought landmarks law on April 19th, 1965. As we celebrate the great Albert Bard, we need to remember that as singular as his contribution is to the history of preservation, he's only one of a number of unsung preservation heroes whose lifetime of dedication, perseverance, and accomplishments can inform, instruct, and inspire us and future generations of preservationists. Their stories are our history. They're the intellectual capital of the preservation movement. In saluting Bard, we honor them all. Because of the importance of those stories and the need to capture and preserve them, today we honor an architect, author, and activist whose books have helped document and chronicle the history of preservation in New York City. At this time, let me welcome to the podium Archive Project Board member Shirley Jenks to present the Archive Project's Preservation Award Medal to Robert A.M. Please welcome Shirley.
Thank you, Tony, and thank you, Mr. Bard. It's with great pleasure that we are presenting to Mr. Stern the New York Preservation Archive Project Preservation Award. Now, for those of you who were here last year, that was our first offering of the Preservation Award. Tony assures me this is not an annual offering. The quality of people that we are honoring must be high enough. So, this is the second awarding of this award. It's to honor outstanding contributions to documentation, preservation, and celebration of the history of preservation in New York City. So, Mr. Stern, you are one of these people that I could easily say this man needs no introduction with such an impressive background. However, I can't stand when people offer an award and say they need no introduction. But what I also wanted to do was offer you some new insights, Mr. Stern, which is a challenge since he's so well known. First, I asked Matthew, our fearless leader of the New York Preservation Archive Project, whether there was any connection with Mr. Bard. He assured me Tony would have told me there was. It was a third president once removed or some such. So then I thought, you know, Robert A.M. Stern, what's that A.M. stand for? Maybe some of you know. It's Arthur Norton. So that little bit is resolved. So, what are we honoring him for? Well, we do know about in the fantastic 5-volume, monumental as we describe, 5-volume book series about New York. And it really does capture meticulously the architecture, development, and urbanism of New York. This alone might win you this award. We also know that you've been an active preservationist. I've been told that you also took on the battle with Robert Moses over Castle Clinton, so perhaps there is a large connection here, as well as the campaign to save 2 Columbus Circle. More recently, you've been involved in things with Midtown East, the rezoning, and the interiors of the Four Seasons restaurant. In 1996, you prepared an article for the New York Times, 35 modern landmarks completed. And I read through them, I was very impressed. But what I loved most was what the New York Times said about you, which you were never shy about taking a stand. And that's a real preservationist. We know that Mr. Stern has a fantastic practice, beyond being a prolific writer, a 300-person firm here in New York. Clearly, he is a man who never sleeps, and the city who never sleeps. He's a busy person. Having also been a teacher, educator, he just stepped down as the dean of the Yale School of Architecture, where he served since 1998. And before that, he was the director of the Historic Preservation Program at the Graduate School of Architecture, Planning, and Preservation at Columbia University. He's a graduate of both Columbia and Yale. Clearly also a smart man. So I still wanted to tell you something you didn't know about Mr. Stern. He may not remember this, but I do. About 20 years ago, you and I had a phone conversation. And let me just tell you this. This underlines to me that Mr. Stern is not going to end up like Mr. Barr with all his files about him at age 95. I was the director of development, actually VP for development at the American Academy in Rome. And like all development offices, you receive interesting phone calls almost daily. If no one knows what to do with it, they send it to the development department. And there was a gentleman on the phone saying, I have a house that was designed by Mr. Stern, Robert A.M. Stern. And I don't have records on it, and I want to sell the house. He has some affiliation with the American Academy in Rome. You must have some archives. I said, well, we do have records, but I don't know that we would have such details on this house. Tell me a little bit about it, and I'll see what I might be able to do for you. And it was either on Martha's Vineyard or Nantucket. It was and so I called Mr. Stern's office, of course. He must have some records. He does. He had been archivist. I don't know if that was her title. I explained this situation. She said, I'm not familiar with that project. Can I get back to you? In 5 minutes, Mr. Stern called back directly. And I repeated this story to him, and he said to me, how interesting. In my lifetime thus far, there have been 3 people who have actually I've designed homes for them. They've not paid, and they've constructed them themselves. What's interesting about this is that 3 of them went to Yale, and 2 of them went to jail. I think I know the fate of the 3rd one, but I don't know the end of that story. So, but what impressed me about that, which I recalled as I was preparing these remarks, is that this is a man who is keeping his archives and preserving them, which is also a reason why we want to give him this award. So, Mr. Stern, if you'll come to the podium, we can present you with our award, which is presented on behalf of the board members of the New York Preservation Archive Project.
lunch next. No. Bob's going to sit down, and I am going to invite to the podium someone we all know. And that person is Ingen, who can fight her way through the crowd. There she is, thank goodness. As most of you know, Anne is a preservation advocate, educator, and thought leader. Whether it's preservation at the local, statewide, or national level, Anne has done it. Her preservation passion runs so deep that after Katrina, she and her partner, Wes Haynes, undertook the hands-on renovation of a shotgun house in the 9th Ward in New Orleans to preserve housing for local residents, something she'd probably never do again, having had that experience. Anne is the chair of the Preservation League of New York State and serves on numerous boards. An adjunct assistant professor at Columbia, she was the director of the Architecture Planning Design Program and Capital Projects at the New York State Council on the Arts from 1938 to 2010. But of all the many titles that she has held, my favorite is Commodore of the St. Regis Yacht Club in the Adirondacks. So welcome the Commodore to the stage as she gets lavaliered for a conversation with Robert A.M.
Sir, congratulations. Good morning, everybody. This is always a delightful event. Very happy to be here today and actually playing a part. Thank you, Tony, for asking me to do this. I'm going to channel a little Terry Gross this morning. So I thought I would toss a few questions at you. We have a little bit of a conversation and then open it up to questions from all of you, who I'm sure have interesting thoughts and interesting questions for Bob. So let me just jump in and start for this room full of historians, archivists, and book lovers. Tell us how you came to write this fabulous series of books that have been such an important part of our intellectual understanding of New York's built environment. How did this happen?
I backed into it. We were having I've always been interested in the history of the city of New York, even as a junior high school student, so it's a lifelong interest. But Columbia Architecture School was about to have its 100th anniversary. The school was founded in 1881, and the 100th was coming up for 1981. And Jim Polchek was then the dean, and he and I and David DeLong, it's a very familiar name, I think, to many people here, and then ultimately Helen Searing, who was then a professor at Smith College, got to talking about, were asked by Jim to figure out what we could do to memorialize this great occasion. And we decided that since Columbia is called Columbia University in the city of New York, we would commission scholars to write about what happened in the school, pedagogical history, if you will, and another scholar would do a parallel essay from different periods of time about what was happening in the city, to see how the pedagogy and the city parallel. And I took on 1900 with Gregory Bill Martin, who was then a student, and these books, which I take all credit for, of course, have been written with many other people. Currently, I'm working with David Fishman and Jake Powell. I said I would never do another one of these, but so many amazing things are happening in the city, good and bad, that we're working on New York 2020. I hope I make it through the Albert Barr gives me some hope. So that's how I got started. And then I went to John Franco Monticelli, and head of Solar Publishers, and I said, I think we should do, and there were books about New York, about 1900, about London and Paris and other cities. I said, we should do one in New York. I would like to do one in New York. And I produced one of my telephone door stopper type books, telephone books. Nobody knows what a telephone book is anymore. I think it's got an idea about door stopper. He said, in his Italian accent, he said, but nobody will buy this book. And he take out a couple of chapters, which I've always regretted. It turned out a lot of people did buy the book. And then when he moved on to establish his own press, with Elizabeth White's guidance, she's here, we've continued to work with Monticelli on the subsequent books. They're all 5, and And then we started in 1900 and came chronologically toward the present, then we caught up with 1800. So the history goes back to the Civil War, and at least it goes to the celebration of the millennium and a little afterward, about 9/11/2001, so far. So that's a long answer to your short question.
Did you know at the time, they're wonderful documents, did you know at the time that these become such an important reference, particularly for the preservation community?
Well, of course, I was getting involved with the preservation program as its chairman, and I'm not a preservation architect, and in fact, Jim Polchek doesn't believe in preservation architects.
I know.
And you know about that, and I'm not going to get into that in this crowd. But I am a library rat. I was a library rat when libraries still had books, and I would always wander through the stacks at Avery, dusting myself off. And I realized that these great magazines from the late 19th and early 20th century, architectural magazines, one were crumbling and might not last for future. Even though they were in a preservation setting, they weren't really being preserved, but also that they contained a wealth of information, of fascinating buildings, so that had not been paid attention to. One, because the modernists weren't interested in the 19th and early 20th century traditional architects. We blame Harvard for that. I continually blame Harvard for that. Not Yale. No. The Beaux-Arts dean Everett Meeks kept the flames going and lived in the Yale Club. So no, Yale's got a good track record. And then we discovered magazines. Who knew about the real estate record and guide? And if you read the title, you think, well, that must be a boring magazine for people who manage buildings or something, or real estate brokers. It has amazing information. So, and the more we discovered things, I realized there was material from a book. Everybody wanted to know about the Beaux-Arts at that moment, around 1980. So we did a book. And each book is, we tried working with different graphic designers to design the book in a manner that might have been designed, the book might have been designed in the period we discussed. So I think there's an extra dimension. And we found lots of old photographs, but many more have come to light now due to good work of preservationists everywhere.
Well, thank you for that gift to the city, to all of us. So, let's talk a little bit about preservation. And Shirley mentioned that in 1996, you put forward a list of the 35 landmarks in waiting, which I always thought was a really great phrase, which help increase saving modern buildings, increase all of our understanding of the importance of those buildings. So today, do you see another category of buildings, either building type or style, whatever, that needs to be called out for preservation?
Well, Ed Green was involved with that list way back then, and consider now that I was happy to see her here. And only a few days ago, I had a little whispering conversation with her on the telephone about I have a youngish, Russian-born, Russian-trained architect who's been working as he's now a senior associate at our office. And he loves to do little history projects. And he realized that Albert Kahn, the great Detroit-based industrial architect, did enormous projects in Russia. And since he reads Russian and he has access to, he put together a talk, which we give talks in our office to each other, and he ran a dry run of it with me. And there are two fantastic Albert Kahn industrial buildings in Brooklyn. One was a printing plant for the New York Times, which looks like it could have been a museum. So beautiful, such a beautiful classical building on 3rd Avenue. And another was the Mergenthaler Linotype Company. Some of you may remember the name Mergenthaler, key to the printing industry, which is in a more industrial Williamsburg, Fringe, Bushwick area. And so I told Peg, and we realized they weren't landmark. And I've written to the commissioner. She's a very nice person, and she hasn't answered me yet. She's only had 3 days. If anyone's here from the commission, see if you find whether they can go up and help the file, proposing that the commission take a look at these buildings. And they're very, very good.
So those are modern buildings, unknown, undiscovered.
Well, so many people here know so much more about anything than I do, and particularly Nina Rappaport here, and she did a book on vertical industrial buildings. And Mercantile, I don't know if Mercantile is in it, I've got to look, but it's the kind of building specialized in New York, where industrial buildings were not sprawling as Conn's buildings in the auto industry were in Detroit, but vertical. So people know about these buildings, but they, landmarks are still trapped in the beautiful building. Oh, well, these are very beautiful buildings, in my opinion. And they don't look so hard in the naves and so forth. So we have to plod this along. But I'm going to read more about Albert Bard, as nasty as he was. Some people in this room think I already am.
So, but I also think those are the kinds of buildings that can be repurposed for contemporary life.
Oh, well, one is used as a school, and the other is probably going to be converted to condos, which is both the life and death of any industrial building. So we'll see. They're both wonderful buildings.
Well, that makes me most change with buildings there. So getting down a little bit more into the granular, you were certainly a proponent of saying that this ought to be historical.
Oh, well, I say the whole building.
Well, right. So,
Wolf and I are the only two sane people judging what, especially by what was built in this place.
right, so that's the question. So how do you think history is going to look back on the loss of that building?
Well, I think history is going to say I was right. It was an important building. It was a historic monument. It was a charming, idiosyncratic building. Cities should be made up of idiosyncratic and charming buildings. And able to be sensible. On the whole, I admired enormously, but really, I didn't mind that she was new to it when it was built in 1961, but I was angry with her. I was angry with her. That toward the end of her life, when asked to comment on it again, she basically didn't change her mind and didn't see it in a broader context. You have to see all buildings in a broad context. Anyhow, it's a great loss. The building that's there is developed with dishwater and flax presses.
So another question. I personally, I believe firmly that preservation at its best is a creative, forward-thinking method. We think about the future, and that's what we do in this business. But many
Don't tell that to the real estate board of New York.
right. So but many think that the field is not doomed to be reactive, right? So, but looking back, do you think of any really compelling examples of preservation being proactive?
Well, how do we proactive?
Really, we're out ahead of the curve, out ahead of the game, ahead of the problem, and help solve it.
Well, I'm not sure about, I would just, maybe I'm not exactly answering your question, but I remember arguments about, for example, preserving the buildings in the Flatiron District. And the real estate board of New York was irate that it would ruin that neighborhood, which was nowhere to speak of. It was run down, or loft buildings and so forth. Once the buildings were preserved, people said, my God, I can't tear this down. I might as well fix it up and transform the neighborhood. And that history goes on and on and on. People said, people like Ed Rose, who's an extremely smart guy, that to have the Upper East Side Historic District would completely thwart development on the Upper East Side. Would that it had, it didn't, unfortunately. People found little crevasses everywhere, and then they moved it further east on the Upper East Side. Maybe Third Avenue was its boundary of respectability. Now the Upper East Side extends way over when the subway is finally finished on Second Avenue. We're going to see tons more stuff. So I think preservation is a positive thing, and of course it's a nuisance for small land holders and homeowners and so forth, and bureaucracies there, and we underfund all this stuff. We underfund the commission so that it takes too long to get things through the commission because there aren't enough people there to handle the problems. But that doesn't make preservation bad, it just means our way of supporting the act of preservation is maybe not what it should be. Right. And I can't comment on the rest of New York State. I realize there's a state beyond the 5 boroughs, but it's dangerous territory.
It may be far, but it's good for you. So the landscape is changing, I think. I'm talking about perhaps the policy landscape is changing rapidly, certainly at the federal level. And I think the field of preservation needs to be teed up at this moment to be prepared for the changing landscape.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have suggestions, advice?
Well, we should nominate the Trump Tower. Probably eligible for landmarks now. 1977, I think. We get ready to start writing the reports. But I want to talk about something else. Having to do with preservation, if I may.
Yes, of course.
Because this is an archives preservation institution.
But it's also a room full of activists in preservation.
Well, one of the problems, it's all well and good for Albert Bard's heir to have taken that vast pile and taken it to New York Public Library. But I hope people realize that institutions don't want this stuff anymore without money. It's it's a problem. Or they just take it and stuff it in a corner and nobody can get at it. So yes, the documents are preserved, but they're inaccessible. So the big effort, I don't know if Tony would agree with me, but I hope he would, is that we need to raise massive funds, public and private, to support archives as such. The Avery Library has almost, which is one of the great archives in New York City, has almost no funds to support its archives. It has funds to buy books, but not to buy drawings and not to preserve them. And at Yale, when we started an architectural archive, amazingly, Yale didn't really have one, had some architectural drawings, but we have, and the university is supporting the archive to a point, but it's totally understaffed, and it requires the architects who might be eligible for to have their archives accepted to basically do the archival business first and then turn the drawings over, which is a tremendous burden on people, and many architects probably can't afford it, yet their documents are incredibly valuable. So I think that the preservation of records has to be taken to another level of recognition among the preservation community as a whole. That's my little special plea for this night. Now you can ask me anything more.
We talk about preservation always in battle terms. You know, landmarks law has been around for 50 years. We fight this battle, we fight for saving this building or that landscape or whatever.
By the way, I did not cross swords with Robert Moses. I'm old, but I'm not that old.
I never thought that. So, do you think, after 50 years of landmarks law, which one would hope is the law of land, and that we should be all used to it now in New York, do we still need to talk in battle terms? Do we still need to use that language, or can we change our language?
Well, the language of the landmarks preservation on the national level, which sets the agenda for many local laws, including our own in New York City, makes one point which I object to strenuously, which is that new construction has to look significantly different from what it's added on to. Added is, in the terms of the history of the buildings of mankind, completely preposterous. You add on and you try to be as sympathetic as possible to what you're adding on to. No new construction ever looks exactly like what went before, but the idea of putting a glass box on a classical building in most times is just dumb, and it's not sympathetic to the existing building. There are, of course, exceptions anywhere, but the law is so rigid that in order to be more sympathetic to the host of the building, you really have to fight the law, even though the law is about preservation. So I think that's a big conceptual problem that goes back to one of my predecessors as chairman of the Department of Preservation at Columbia, wrote that law when he was at the Department of Interior. I can't think of his name.
Bill Murtaugh.
Bill Murtaugh.
Still with us.
Tell him I don't like his law.
I think there's a growing urgency that some of that language needs to be changed. I think absolutely. I'm reservations, and it's crucial. And we need people with a good eye in this business. And so you certainly do, your firm certainly does.
It's very complicated to work in situations where preservation is involved, and the pressures are, at least in Manhattan, and even in the city as a whole, to build much bigger buildings. and then the buildings that form a neighborhood. And the use of air rights is a very tricky question. I was asked about these needle towers, so-called, and on the one hand, maybe they're annoying to people, although they were annoying to people in 1900 when they were built in lower Manhattan. But one thing they do is allow you to buy air rights, developers, of low-rise stuff and keep the low-rise stuff in place. So you still have a city fabric of, let's say, the 19th century scale, and then you have these towers. So I think that people look at these big buildings and they say that everything's going hell in a handbasket, but I'm not quite so sure.
It's an interesting urban design question, because you end up in a situation which we're about to have with Grand Central, where the buildings would be suffocated.
Well, yes. And starved for beauty.
Yes.
I don't think so. I would not be building as a problem solver or as an asset to the sky. I just think it should have been a better building.
Right. So, enough of me. Surely there are those of you out there who have some questions for Bob. Does anybody? I see a hand.
Yeah, I hope you can hear me.
There's a microphone right up behind you. Thank you.
To follow up on what you were saying about the need for a new level of preservation savvy, I'm wondering whether you think that it would be good for architectural firms to kind of try to articulate ahead of time, the importance of their specific contribution nationally, locally, whatever, so that when they do try to go to archives and present their material, that they have something, ready-made, because that way, there's already a rationale for taking the material. So that's one question. The second question is what the impact of, say, email and phone records now is going to be, as far as, from your side of things, the impact of that for the history of landmark preservation activity.
Well, the first question can be answered in probably a number of ways, but one that comes to my mind, many architects publish their own work in monographs, which of course documents their work. Some are not only careful about documenting the realized work, but also unrealized projects, which are sometimes even more interesting. And also they're very good about documenting who worked on projects, because the belief that one person or even a few names in a firm name are the people who do all the work is a naive assumption. So I think I would encourage any architect to get his or her stuff together and put it in publishable order. That means you have to have super photographs in this world. You have to draw beautiful plans for publication. You have to write about your own work, or get someone to write about your work or your way to present the work. But the other question you ask is not only a problem for the preservation of architectural records, it's a major problem. I was the architect for the Bush Library for the National Archives, which was the first library, presidential library, to be built in the electronic age. I mean, the Clinton administration used emails, as we know. But every, the White House under Bush in like 2000 and 2008 generated a gazillion emails, everything else. Architectural firms, all our work is done. We do a lot of hand drawing, we keep sketches, but all our technical documents and a lot in between is digitized. So this is a major problem. I'm sorry, Tim Reddy, my archivist, is not didn't think that asking me, I wanted to see working on my archives. But he goes to all these conferences about how to deal with digitized archives. It's a major problem for which libraries are only beginning, and archival holding places are only beginning to handle. But I think that Columbia, when I was on the faculty, we accepted, and I was on an advisory committee, we accepted almost exclusively work from New York architects. We took the mandate of Columbia being in the city of New York to document New York architects, and of course alumni architects who had offered theirs. But most architects don't think to offer their archives. A lot of them get thrown in the dustbin. Grogan or Atterbury, the lawyer knows about the story. He had a much younger wife. We don't know about that story exactly. But when he died, she threw everything out. She must have hated it. That's the only explanation. There's no paper trail from Grogan or Atterbury, one of the great architects of American architects of the late 19th, 20th century up until around 1948. So how to get people to be sensitive to what they're doing and the importance of it. And then, I'll give you another story. When Saarinen died, his widow, a lady who had a very good sense of the public realm, she was a journalist from the Times, and then became a television star like Barbara Walters before Barbara Walters. So she knew what to do, so she got all the drawings saved. And they were all put in trust with Kevin Rhodes, the successor architect. But Kevin's business partner took all the business records and threw them away. Now, if you think of Saarinen's firm, commissions, IBM, General Motors, MIT, Yale, all these amazing institutional and corporate clients, what history was thrown in the trash heap of what he wrote or his people wrote back and forth on the day, especially in a time of letter writing, or making notes. When you had a telephone conversation, you wrote down what was said on the telephone. So we need to, I'm giving Tony Rhodes his marching orders, needs to make architects in particular more aware of what they are in possession of and what they need to do. That's right. I think architects are not modest by nature. They don't know that. But about archives, they have a funny reluctance. So, anyhow, that's my little story.
Frank.
Yes, Frank.
The architect who desecrated Columbus Circle is actually a talented fellow who has done some beautiful buildings elsewhere, namely the Clifford Stowe Museum in Denver. Where do you think that preservation fits into the curriculum for training architects? They don't seem to be exposed to it, and Columbus Circle is a perfect example of what happens.
Well, he was a graduate of a postgraduate program at Columbia, so he at least must have known that there was some department called preservation. But having been a dean for a long time, and I continued to teach in the design side, part of the architecture school, but administering the preservation program, young architecture students, by and large, have a horror of preservation. They think they are it. That they are not interested. They think an architect 5 years out. One of my younger teaching colleagues said that the students don't even know who Michael Graves is anymore. He's only been dead 2 years. It's amazing. Now it takes a more mature architect, I think, to come to grips with that. I did meet with Brad Kofeld when he got that commission, and I asked him not to do it. But he was so eager to become famous. It was so patently obvious, and maybe I would have been then if I was a young architect too, but you have to know when to say no. And he didn't say no, and that was too bad. And as a result, everybody says this is worst building. Well, we're stuck with it. That client also.
Yes.
You think that this microphone, right there. Thank you.
Do you think that the planning commission could play a stronger role in preservation, such as it did with saving Grand Central Terminal through the sale of air rights?
Well, I think in any situation as complicated as that, you have the mixture of the preservation commission itself, the landmarks commission, which is principally responsible, but it must have the cooperation not only of the planning commission, but the building department has played havoc on things. So it's a very messy, we live in a very messy city, and even when Bloomberg attempted to run it in a more top-down, this is the way we're going to do it, folks, way, even he couldn't sort out all those things. And also, the planning commission probably thinks of itself as extremely independent, but we know that the chairman of the planning commission is appointed by the mayor, and we know that the chairman of the landmarks commission is appointed by the mayor. So those people, insofar as the mayor might be interested in planning and preservation issues, reflect the policies of the mayor. So I can't, I'm not a very, I don't have many Pollyanna strains in my personality. What does Zuckerberg have to say about it? And then there's a man way back there is waving.
Thank you. I was not surprised to hear your comments about your discomfort or dislike for the law about making things look different. But the question is, as Dean of Yale, what did or could you do to teach differently, and what did your colleagues at other schools do to the best of your knowledge? Because I think it's the architects coming out of the schools that will have the biggest impact over time in the future.
Well, when I was a dean at Yale, and some people funded a chair in my honor, which will perpetuate to some extent what I'm about to describe, which we did have, and we do have, at least one visiting professor. You rely on visiting chair professors. One chair professor who comes from the tradition of classical education, like Leon Curie or Dimitri Porphyrios, and I know that Deborah Burke is think about to announce that Elizabeth Moore will be giving a studio. There is a shortage of people who are good classicists who have taken the time to teach. We don't tend to hire people in those rather august positions who've never taught before, so that's a bit of a problem. But there is that, and I don't see that much of that in other schools, I have to say. But the mainstream modernism is the du jour way of teaching. The other thing we've done at Yale, and I certainly think it could be done in other schools, is we've stressed, and in fact, through the generosity of our donors, endowed in perpetuity courses that are required and some optional in hand drawing, because most young architects can't draw. And consequently, all new buildings tend to look exactly alike. Now, that's not true of some of the great architects like Zaha Hadid, who just got you to draw. But in effect, she's not a part of the digital age. She was 60 when she died. But people who are 40, they can't draw. I was sitting next to Moshe Safi at something the other day, and we were talking, architects of our age talk about this all the time. He said all he does is go around the office and give people in his office pens. I said, does it work? He said, no. It does. It's really hard. There are people from my office here now that are going to screaming matches. I'll shorten my already too long life. I'm having a heart attack screaming at people to draw something and not just run to the computer. So some German engineers designing your building as opposed to you. There are these problems. No school, even a very influential school like Yale, can change the culture all the way around. Now, it's so amazing that when Gropius came to Harvard and destroyed the Beaux-Arts system, he had that power. The people, at that moment, the profession, the young people were able to take over, and Gropius, and throughout history, Gropius didn't draw very well, so he stopped drawing. He only liked to make full models, and he transformed architecture and architecture. We're still bearing the brunt of this quote-unquote revolution. It takes a long time. France is still getting over the French Revolution.
Well, thank you, Bob, very much.
Thank you very much for this award.
Ackerman, I'm the secretary of the New York Preservation Archive Project Board, and I, every year, most recent years, have had the pleasure of thanking everybody for coming this morning. And also it's my duty to make sure we really get out at 10 the way we promised everybody. Because as Bob noted, we all live change to our computers, so people have been off their iPhones, Blackberries, and computers for the last 2 hours and are probably reaching the end of their limits to be able to be disconnected. This is always a wonderful start to the holiday season. We always think a great way to catch up with friends and colleagues who we see all too infrequently. And I want to especially thank everybody for coming, especially early in the morning. But I also want to note that with our co-chair committee and our benefit committee and our board, this event really is possible year after year because of such terrific generosity. And especially I want to thank my fellow board members such as Anne and Tony, Brad and Shirley, who took a role this morning, and we're delighted to have Bob Stern receive the BARD Award. And then finally, I would be remiss if I didn't thank Matthew Cootie, our executive director, who is nearly a one-man band, although fortunately he has interns and volunteers and loyal friends who come out every year to really make this event special. So with that, I want to thank everyone once again for coming and see you next year, and hopefully see you many times in the months to come. Have a great day.